Very good evening to everybody. This is Wednesday, the 28th of April. This is Piano Hour. Christopher Daigen coming to you from our home in KwaZulu-Natal in another of our live stream sessions. This is live stream number 115. Hope that you can join us for the next hour or so for a session of music which is going to revolve around a theme of national music and also a theme of great anthems. Yesterday in South Africa was National Freedom Day, and it's a very important day in our country and in our constitution, where everyone is recognized and the freedom and the rights of every single person in the individual ways is recognized and acknowledged and protected. And I had a very interesting experience about this once when I was in Mexico. I won't tell you about it now, maybe one day, but it was a bit of a surprise to me even. So I started thinking about this idea of the national holiday and identity and one's national pride, and immediately it struck me that a piece like Chopin's Polonaise, which I did play on Saturday, so I'm not going to play that this evening, expresses that very universal and human idea of a cry, a call to arms, a rising up for a unification of identity and a freedom of one's culture and one's land and one's people. And so this evening's program, I'm exploring various ideas around that theme with some national music from different countries, as well as some very strong anthems. And I am going to play for you in the first set of compositions a piece of music by Franz Schubert, even though he was Austrian. This is early 19th century music, Austrian. Schubert visited what is now part of Hungary at the Esterházy Palace, where he was one of his patrons. He spent many summers there, and he composed this very charming Hungarian melody. And I'm not sure how authentic in terms of its folk music it really might be. I've talked about this in Liszt, thinking that he was writing folk music, Hungarian folk music, when he wasn't really. But nevertheless, it's a very charming, beautiful piece of music, and I think has some unique folk aspect to it, a kind of local flavor, you might say. And then a very great piece by Rachmaninoff, the very famous Prelude in G minor, which has a great Russian feel, a militaristic feel, and feel of great strength and rhythmic drive. But to start off these three pieces, I thought, well, seeing as this is a national day, Freedom Day for South Africa, I'm going to start off with a kind of an unofficial national anthem, you might say, a piece called Mannenberg by the great South African composer Abdullah Ibrahim. Yes, music there by Rachmaninoff, the great prelude in G minor. Before that, a very gentle Hungarian melody composed by the Austrian composer Franz Schubert. And starting off that section of 3, the very famous Mannenberg by Abdullah Ibrahim, great South African composer, and somewhat of an unofficial South African anthem, I think. That's a piece of music that has such memories and recollection for so many people. Rachmaninoff was one of the composers that I think I have more requests than anything else to play. So many people have asked me, said, please play Rachmaninoff. And there are very few pieces that I have actually in my repertoire, and it's just incredibly difficult, but such amazing music. I mean, how powerful and how wonderful is that music? I'm just not sure always with the live stream situation, the microphone in such a small room and the compressed situation, the sound that you're hearing, whether you really actually get the full effect, and it's quite difficult to manage it, manage the energy, manage the force. It really needs a huge piano and a huge hall. I'm going to go on to 3 completely different pieces of music by American composers, Norwegian composers, and Spanish composers. Starting off, really taking a ride, a complete roller coaster mood here from Rachmaninoff to the Liberty Bell March, very fun, energetic march by John Philip Sousa, also made famous as the theme tune for Monty Python's Flying Circus. Liberty Bell, Sousa wrote these marches and was certainly later used in marching band situations, so much so that they even invented the sousaphone, a tuba, a large tuba that's often white. You'll see these instruments, a great white instrument that instead of the player holding the tuba in front of them, this tuba actually wraps around them like a great anaconda, and it's often white. The sousaphone with this huge bell belting out the bass notes. The second piece of music by Edvard Grieg. He wrote so much music that's even the titles are linked with Norwegian folk idioms, folk songs, folk melodies. But I'm very fond of this one little piece of melody which has, for me, an atmosphere, uniquely Norwegian atmosphere of a very somehow barren and wintry landscape. Something quite unique about it. And then the third piece, from that wintry snow into the bustling energy and heat of Spain and Seville. This is from Albéniz and his Suite Española, pieces of music devoted each one to a different area of Spain. And from Seville, this very charming piece of music, often, as I say, known in its guitar version, but this is the original piano version that I'll be playing for you tonight. second set of three pieces there for you this evening. I ended off with Seville from the Suite Española by the Catalan Spanish composer Isaac Albéniz. Before that, I played for you a beautiful melody by a Norwegian composer, Edvard Grieg, that I think reflects something of a beautiful Norwegian landscape and a very barren, snow-covered land. And starting off that set of three, I played for you the very jaunty, highly infectious, laughable, even sometimes it seems, such enthusiasm there, John Philip Sousa and his Liberty Bell March. And talking of enthusiasm, who have we got here? Yes, here comes little Lucy. Hello, little Lucy. How are you doing today? Little Lucy, the long-haired dachshund, is the star of the show. Aren't you just? Everybody loves Lucy. Now this evening, we've got our extra special dachshund spy camera set up. We've got a dedicated camera now for the time being to the little nest, where the little nest of dachshunds come in and sometimes come out. Have you been sitting in the nest? Have you been on the spy? We've been spying on you. Yes, it is naughty. I know we're not allowed to. We might, spying is against the law, apparently. But not when it's a dachshund camera, a doggy dachshund camera, and then it's going to be all right. What did you do yesterday, Blues? And today? Nothing. Okay. Well, that's nice. Okay. And have you got anything else to tell us this evening, little Lucy? Yep. Okay. Just that you're enjoying the music. Yes, it is quite fun. It's very nice. You'd also like to hear more Rachmaninoff. Yes, Rachmaninoff's your favorite. It's not Frida's favorite because I make too much. Oh, here comes Wendy Pop. Come, Wendy Pop. Wendy Pop also wants to come up. Hello, little Wendy Pop. Little Wendy Pop. Here comes Wendy Pop. Wendy Pop, just a sweet little girl. Hello, little sweet Wendy Pop. Let's see what's happening. Oh, we don't want to get you on the microphone. Oh, and here comes Frida also coming in for a little. Oh, you want to come for a licksy? Okay. Yes, okay. And here comes Fried. Hello, Frieds. Let's pick up Friedsy this side. Hello, Frida Pop. How are you doing? Here we go. Hello, Frieds. You're also having a good time. Right? You also want to be on the dachshund spy camera. Yeah. Spy on you. Come and sit on your little spot. I'm losing the microphone. And then Andrew can put the spy camera on you. Here we go. Right, well, we had a visitation from many dachshunds this evening. Here we go. I know that everyone loves to see what's happening with dachshunds, and you've just seen Frida and Wendy and Lucy all came visiting. They have just been barking at monkeys the whole day and barking at every noise that they hear. Anything sets them off. They're a little bit nervous these days for some reason. So I'm going to move on to more music. I hope you're enjoying this selection. I'm going to play quite a substantial choice now of 5 pieces together. Some of them quite short. I'm going to start off with a kind of unofficial Brazilian national anthem this time, with a piece by Ernesto Nazareth called Brailleiro. I've played much of Ernesto Nazareth's music over the last weeks and last months, and very charming Brazilian tango rhythms, not Argentine tango, but tango rhythm, different feel, a different sound. But this particular piece of his, which was one of his most celebrated compositions, Brailleiro, which I'd like to play, is, as I say, it's somehow adopted now as almost an official folk anthem, and it has incredible excitement and brilliance and joy to it. And I think Andrew's going to capture, because all 3 of the puppets are on the spy cam. There we go. Now spy cam is really coming to the fore. Look at that. Everyone's there on the spy cam. So after Brailleiro, I'd like to move on to another composition. This is I'm ending this with a very extreme set of contrasts from the brilliance and rhythm of Brailleiro. Wonderful composition by Edward Elgar, which is somewhat of a English anthem. This is the variations, a Nimrod variation from his Enigma variation. You'll recognize this tune as soon as I start playing it. This is actually Elgar's own arrangement. He published his own solo piano version of the complete Enigma variations. And each of the variations was dedicated to or inspired by a particular person or an incident with that person. And I was just reading today, very interestingly, this variation was dedicated to a musicologist or a music friend of hers who's within the publishing industry, I think, who was a great support to Elgar. And when Elgar was having moments of real doubt and depression and self-doubt about his compositions and his music, he encouraged him enormously and pointed out that just like Beethoven, who suffered enormously amongst often feeling that his compositions were not appreciated or misunderstood, really out of the depths of that determination, the most wonderful music comes out. And this was the result that Elgar composed later in response to this encouragement that he had received. We all need support. We all need encouragement. I think it's so important to encourage others and to acknowledge and to support others. It's so easy to break people down. And it's such a positive thing when someone acknowledges and really gives you encouragement. I am then going to play a Chopin mazurka, a traditional Polish dance. Chopin's Polish backgrounds expressed in polonaises, grand polonaises, and very traditional folk mazurkas. And this is a very unique, very charming little upbeat piece, the mazurka opus 33 number 2. And then a very extraordinary piece by the Australian composer Percy Granger called the Colonial Song. And there's a very unique little write-up that he has in the beginning of this piece. He says that in Australia, as well as Percy Granger was born in Australia but spent much of his time in England, he said he was very aware of various colonies, and I think South Africa is included in this, that people who live in these colonies experience a very different life in terms of their hardships and the elements which they find very different from maybe countries which they've left behind, but also in terms of the sense of displacement, of not quite knowing where they belong. And he said it expresses itself, he heard in Australia, and I think possibly in South Africa as well, because he did visit here. This piece was composed in 1912. A certain sentimentality and a certain expressivity and a real sentiment of loss and a melancholy almost that exuded and that comes across in the music, not only in the style of music making, but also the original music that people who live in these far-flung places where they've traveled from might experience. And then the last piece of music on the set, a beautiful little composition by the South African composer Mackay de Vache, La Couchon Ilanga, if I've got the pronunciation correct. This When the Sun Sets, I Will Keep Looking for My Love. A very beautiful, very poignant and heartfelt and quite sad, tragic piece of music when you actually read the words and discover what the words are actually about. So these are 5 very contrasted and short pieces of music for you. That was La Cochon Ilanga by Makash David, South African composer. When the sun sets, I will keep looking for my love. And very poignant, very beautiful song, really wonderful song, celebrated and really brought to world fame, I think, by Miriam Makeba, who did so much to bring South African music to a wider international stage. Before that, to get my glasses to remind me what I played, you heard the Colonial Song by Percy Granger, a Mazurka in D major, opus 33 by Frederick Chopin, the variation Nimrod by Edward Elgar from his Enigma variations, and starting off Braiero by Ernesto Nazareth. Very up-tempo little Brazilian piece that brings an end to our program of music of a national and international flavor, different world cultures, anthems of freedom rising up, and accompanied by the generous snuggling and preening of one another of several Dachshunds here. Next thing you, what do you do, Loopsy? Winnie Pop, what are you doing? Winnie Pop's licking Frida's foot quite furiously. So that brings us to the end of this evening's session. Thank you to Andrew for the technical support. I hope you've enjoyed the music tonight. I have a classical program of some rather unusual, not so often heard music for you on Saturday night. Music by Bach and Mozart, Brahms and Schubert, as well as some Debussy. And I'm exploring and bringing to you some new ideas, some music that we haven't often heard, not the great standard classical pieces, but something a little bit on the adventurous path. If you are able to support us, please don't forget we do need your support, financial support, to keep these live streams going. And thank you to everyone who has been supporting us. You'll find all of the donation links at my website, musicrevival.co.za, as well as the link to sign up for my mailing list. Let's see. That's Lucy again. Lucy, are you on the mailing list? Are you on the mailing list? Do you get an email from me? Because if you were on the mailing list, Lucy, you would have got an email today, because I sent out lots and lots of emails. What is your email address? Lucy@littledachshund.com. Oh, Lucy the long-haired Dachshund. Yes, you've got your own domain. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Little Lucy, sweet Lucy. Everyone loves Lucy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Please look after yourselves. Stay well. Keep well. Let me know if you're enjoying the music or if you have ideas about the programs going forward. Respond to an email. It's always lovely to hear from everyone who's watching these programs, or even if while you're not watching them, who knows, maybe there's something that's missing. We'd like to hear from you. Thank you very much for coming along tonight. See you soon.